Welcome to JGTCR, I'm Cope, and today we're tuning the Abarth 1500. Let's get into it. In factory trim, she handles just as good as you would imagine any 50s vehicle would. It's quite sloppy with a bit of body roll, lurching front to back and side to side. Heavy braking causes understeer, and hard turning causes oversteer. A lethal combination in anyone's books, so if you're going to brake, make sure it's in a straight line, and if you're going to turn, make sure you're off the brakes. During turns, it feels like you're driving on ice, and as such it seems like you're barely clinging to the road. A lack of power means that it struggles on inclines, but it does get there eventually. To the Abarth 1500's credit, it is quite stable under braking as long as it's done in a straight line. It does steer well and is easy to control once you get an understanding of how to throw it into a corner. The trick here seems to be to release the throttle and let the car slow itself down with only minimal inputs on the brake. Excluding of course the sharper turns, in which case, brake away my friend, brake away. Maintaining speed while cornering is vital, as recovering speed post-apex can be cumbersome. The Abarth 1500 is lacking in top end, so you will find yourself mostly sticking to 4th and 3rd gear. 1st and 2nd gear seem to be used to get you off the line and to get you moving, respectively. However, in spite of its weaknesses, it is still a very fun car to master. Once you have an understanding of the weaknesses, you can actually use them as an advantage. The spongy and floaty suspension means you can glide straight over those rumble strips, and as long as you maintain power band in 3rd and 4th gear, you're golden. So as long as you keep this lazy car on its toes, it will be at your command. With a few laps under the belt, we head towards the finish line to see what this old girl can do. 1029.5 is not too bad, all things considered, but let's move on to a completely modified version of the Abarth 1500. Before heading out to the circuit, we'll take a quick look at the default tuning sheet to see what we're working with. This will give us a firm understanding of the foundation we need to build upon. When we get out on track, we will take note of any issues that we wish to resolve. The increase in power has clearly made the car a little more peppy le pew. This will result in the tail end breaking loose far more frequently. The suspension is still lurching back and forth and side to side. This is bound to cause problems while cornering. We can see our vehicle suffers from heavy snapback when correcting oversteer. In high speed turns, this will translate to a faint oversteer. A high speed snapback oversteer correction in one of these turns only results in one thing: a date with Bazzy Rizzy. So after a couple of corners here, we've established that we need to chill the diff out and stabilise the suspension. If we minimise wheel spin, we won't have to countersteer, and with more forgiving suspension, when we do countersteer, we can avoid any heavy snapback. And with a bit of luck, when racing, we can avoid situations like this. So here we are with the new tuning sheet. Feel free to pause, take screenshots, or whatever you need to do to get this tune locked in. The main things to note here are the natural frequency, differential gear settings, and the transmission top speed being set to 320. So now we've applied our tune, let's see how it goes on the track. Even at the first turn, we can see that the stability has increased substantially. And even though she's a little bit wrigglies, believe it or not, she is still manageable through the turns. And if you watch closely, you'll see that those oversteer moments are no longer met with a heavy snapback, but instead are met with a well-cushioned countersteer. This is crucial for when you push that little bit too much and are hoping to recover from that oversteer. stability under braking has improved tenfold, and turning in under braking is no longer a problem, as long as used in moderation. Gliding over rumble strips may not be as easy as once was, but the ability to push harder while we're on the black stuff more than makes up for it. This tune allows us to be more agile and precise while having less body roll. However, while we may stick to the road like Poopy to a blankie, when the tail end does let go, it is far more spectacular. So just like Warren G, make sure that you mount up and regulate that throttle if you push a little too hard. Overall, the Abarth 1500 is a good car and reasonably fun to drive in factory trim, and considerably more fun when modified and dialed in with a good tune. However, it is lacking in power even when completely tuned, and the absence of any aero parts prevents further stability tuning via downforce. The Abarth 1500 is a very peppy car when tuned, but as the races increase in difficulty with stronger opponents, the vehicle will struggle to keep up. As we make our way towards the finish line, we can see just how much we have improved. With a saving of 3 minutes, I would say job well done. Now let us move on to the drift tune. And here we are with the drift tune, so feel free to pause and take notes as is necessary to get this tune into your car. Now let's kick the tires and light the fires as we head out to the circuit. And here we go, rounding the last turn of Suzuka short course. Let's try Mungie up the straight. We have made our way into 5th gear and we are now swinging back and forth up the main straight. This is what is referred to as Mungie. The most difficult part is making sure that you have the right swing to turn into the first corner. Fortunately, we have timed this well, and with a little help from the Dirt Turbo, we are in to turn 1 and turn 2. We want to try and get through this sector with only one swing, and while it's a little bit shabby, we do kind of make it. These next few turns are great as they allow us to switch back and forth and see how the suspension deals with loading up multiple times in short succession. You will notice that after the apex of the turn, we can flat stick it, shaking and baking, creating plumes of smoke for our spectators. So to reiterate, maintaining control of the drift is merely a matter of modulating the throttle through the turn and powering out once the car is settled. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of the tune for the Abarth 1500. So now I leave you with the external TV cam version of our drift lab. Hopefully some of what we've covered here today helps you dial in a great tune for your Abarth 1500. And until next time, keep racing and drifting.